All set?
Yep.
All right. We will open meeting, actually 6 o'clock. And any adjustments to our agenda?
I don't have any.
Jonathan, Aaron? Nope. Okay.
No.
All right. We have the warrants. They're all signed? All right. And minutes. And Aaron, I have the minutes from the last 3 meetings. And if you don't have any additions or changes, we'll sign those. Jonathan, were you okay? Okay.
Yes.
I guess, I'm so sorry. I make a motion to approve the minutes of, what dates were those?
October 29th, November 14th, and October 17th.
All right, as submitted. Any second?
Second.
All right. All in favor? Okay. All right. I didn't check over there. Was there any public comment?
I don't know. There's one person in the waiting room right now. Hang on.
Okay.
We have a couple of people.
Can you pass this? I'm sorry.
Okay, they're in now. Maybe we should ask them.
Okay. I'll open for public comment at this time, and that includes anyone participating via Zoom. Is the owl on?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is Nick. I'm sorry if that was an open question about public comment. This is Nick from UG, the solar company. And when that time comes, we'd love to have a discussion about a solar project on North Guilford Road.
Okay. I don't know why it's not going to that one. Okay. That should be on that one now.
Oh, okay.
So he said that when his time is, you can talk right now if you'd like.
Sure. Yeah. No, sounds good. Number one, thank you so much, and very nice to see everyone. My name is Nick Blitterswyk. I'm from UGE, a solar company. Just on the personal side, I'll briefly say that I've had the pleasure of going to Monson before on a personal level. Took part in Snow Roller Day back in 2018 when I was visiting Tyler. And I had a great time. So hopefully I'll be up there again at some point, and I would look forward to it. The reason I wanted to call in just briefly is, so we started building a solar project in 2021 on North Guilford Road. If for those familiar, there's another solar project on the other side of the street that I think's been on, maybe it was built in 2020 or 2021, given that time frame. So this is just uphill from that on the other side of the road. So we had started in about 2021. We had, just at a high level, we had cleared some roads, cleared some trees, built an access road, and then we had started the interconnection process with the utility. And that process, as some of you may be aware, just takes some time. So we got the interconnection agreement in 2024, in recent months. And so we, in essence, are like ready to finish off that project. But of course, as yourselves know, there was a moratorium and then an ordinance that came into play. So we've been, in essence, looking for the best path forward to complete the project. And we have quite a bit of money that we've both spent on the project, and then it's been also financed by a bank. So we also have the bank breathing down our neck in terms of what's happening with the project. And so wanted to dial in today. I haven't personally been able to hear thoughts or concerns or updates myself. So, just hoping to have a conversation and find out a potential path forward there.
Well, Nick, thank you. This is Sue. You messaged me earlier. Thank you for your comment. We aren't prepared right now to discuss. It's not on our agenda today. So we hear your comment, and it'll be duly noted. I can't tell you when we are gonna have it on our agenda. at what point, but we definitely will let you know, I guess.
And Sue, thank you for that. Is the best approach from that perspective, is there a way to reach out and have it on a future agenda?
We can.
Yeah. You can email me either at manager@monsonmaine.org or finance@monsonmaine.org, and we can put it on the agenda.
Okay, that would be great. And I think as Sue and probably others know, we had reached out to the town lawyer as well. And I think after a brief dialogue there, we thought maybe it was best to try to have a conversation ourselves. And I think obviously try to avoid lawyers whenever we can and the cost thereof. We do have, I will just stress that there's some level of urgency from our side to try to work out something amicable as opposed to having the lawyers work something out. And I just say that because, as I mentioned, like there is a bank involved as well that's lent us the money to pay for those interconnection upgrades that we paid for, and so it's not something that we can let slide for too long. So if the necessary approach is to have it on the agenda for the January meeting, I think we'd be happy to do so. But I just felt the need to make that point.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it.
And Sue, I'm sorry to say one more thing. I just want to say also, I should say for the select board and for everybody in attendance, we really, I think we really care about the town's needs. We want to be, we want to, I think we want to help in any way that we can in terms of, of course, providing cheaper energy made there right in the state. But then also, we're very open to learning more about what the town's needs are and, helping out in some way, whether it be, I think yourselves would know best in terms of some of the pressure points, but, whether there is some avenue for a donation to the town or something like that as well to help with some of your needs. We're not trying to be difficult. We're actually trying to be helpful. So.
All right. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you as well. Thanks, Sue. Thanks, everyone.
All right. All right. Any other public comment? All right. Let's move on. Town manager reports.
Okay. Some of my updates will be on the agenda, but for what's not on the agenda, I'll start with on December 20th, Edie Smith, who works for Senator Angus King's office, is going to come here at 1:00 to meet with me and discuss federal funding and any other way that she can be helpful in the process of applying for the municipal building grant. And she's gonna kind of walk me through what the process is like, give me some insight as to what are the best avenues to go, and kind of introduce me to some other people that can help in the grant writing process and stuff like that. She was introduced to me by John Simcoe, who has been extremely helpful. He introduced me to John Boynton and Angela Arno this week, who are from Piscataquis County Economic Development Council. They're gonna come and see me at some point when I can get back to them with a date that I have available, which is in the new year. But so that's the first thing, is just meeting and introducing myself to these hopefully extremely helpful people in this process, because it's a little daunting, because the application's not even out to review yet until March. And so there's a lot of what information do I need to know kind of thing.
Sounds good.
And so I'm hoping that helps.
And it's December 20th, you said?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It's the day after we're meeting with the engineer.
Okay.
So you guys are more than welcome to be here if you'd like, or it could be just me.
What
Whatever.
time is what
At
time?
1.
At 1:00?
Yep.
All right. Excellent.
So that's the first one. Moosehead Cable is the second. Moosehead Cable will no longer be providing cable services to Monson in the next 6 months. So from November 20th, 6 months from that date. They will be sending out letters to the 12 cable-only customers that they have in Monson. And they're going to be offering assistance to these customers by transitioning them to provide, and by providing free internet installation, a router, and a Roku stick, and setting it up for them. So hopefully that will provide a smoother transition for these folks, because if I had to guess, the 12 cable television only customers are not really open to the whole streaming thing. So it's nice of them to at least offer that assistance and teach them how to use that. So the next thing that I have is the election results from the local liquor election have been certified, and we sent them to the Secretary of State. So everything on our end is now complete and kosher, hopefully.
So the Secretary of State was happy?
As far as we know, they never reached out and said, hey, you didn't do things right. So
No news is good news.
yeah. We had a road committee meeting last week. As of right now, we're looking ahead to the next budget season, and trying to come up with a solid budget number. So we are meeting again in January to try to finalize some of those numbers. Some of the projects that we're looking to do in the next budget season is finish up the remaining culverts on the Elliottsville Road, paving the sections where the culverts were replaced. Looking to rent an excavator to do ditching on Pleasant and Center Street in the beginning of Homer Hill and the Deggerstrom Road. And then digging up the really bad section of the pavement on the Barrows Falls Road and bringing the leftover pavement to the Deggerstrom Road, and then adding gravel over the top of that. It seems like a lot all at once, but this is like just a small piece of the pie, really. So the leftover pavement would be like, it would be almost a half a mile on the Deggerstrom Road that would be resurfacing. Also looking at doing 1 mile of brush cutting on the Willimantic Road. And we're looking at like how much to put in reserve amounts and stuff like that. So we have some recommendations for the budget committee and have some solid numbers going into the budget season instead of $3,500 and being like, yeah, that's going to cover everything that's going to happen and everything we want to do. So.
Right. So those are projects that are in need of fairly in the next year. And I know the road committee has a lot of work to do in like developing a solid road future.
So what we're hoping to do is like when these projects are completed, we're hoping to put them like on a timeline.
Right.
So like we did it this year, so in 5 years from now, ditching needs to be done on this road.
Okay.
So that's kind of like where we're going. And then once we get all the immediate needs addressed, then we can kind of, then we'll have somewhat of a solid plan of the road plan, because we'd have everything that we've done covered to then base it off of. But then some of it, you just don't know how long it's been there. You don't know like that, the condition, until you go and crawl through the culvert and shine your light through and be like, yep, not good. So some things like that.
Okay.
But we are,
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, that's okay.
Can I ask you one question before it slips my mind? And I forget what that big culvert is down at Elliottsville, the state.
Gully Brook Bridge.
Gully Brook.
Yes.
So is that going to be addressed at some point?
Yes, it is. And I was actually thinking of trying to go an alternate route, because I know that we reached out to the engineer that the bridge ranger or whatever they're called had suggested at the time. But I've also seen like the county has done a lot of bridges in the last year, like a lot. And some of these bridges are a little bit more extensive than what this Gully Brook Bridge is. And I wanted to talk with Mike at the county to see like, how did you do that? What grants did you use? Or how did you pay for it? That kind of thing. And like, who because I know that Derigo Bridge, which is where we bought all of our culverts this year, they design culverts replacements that are like that size. So I'm wondering if that is a alternative to doing what we were planning on doing.
Right.
So
Okay.
it's definitely on the to-do
On the
list.
radar.
It's on the radar, absolutely.
It's been on the radar for a while. I just
Yes.
don't want to lose sight of
We
it.
don't want to lose sight
Okay.
because I actually know another town that has a similar bridge and they just had to completely close it.
Yeah.
And you can access the road by both ends. So they're like plowing to that bridge and turning around on both
Yeah,
sides. And
yeah.
we don't want to do that.
It's a little bit more inconvenient to go
Yeah.
the other way around.
Yeah. Yeah. And in this case, it's the same kind of thing. And
Yeah.
so I just don't want to see us in that predicament. So
Okay, thank you. Sorry to.
no, that's okay.
interrupt your-
That is totally okay. Okay, so then I'm gonna call him the MMA property guy because he has a title, but I can't quite remember what they call themselves. But basically, risk management, yeah.
Oh, okay.
A loss something consultant. But anyways,
Gotcha.
he is from our insurance company and he came to do another hazard survey. So apparently the hazard survey that we had a few months ago was more geared towards workers' comp and things of that nature. This one is more geared towards like, how is this, like, the property itself. So like things that could potentially cause a fire and things of that nature.
Right.
So he came today and looked at every single building that we own, that we insure, and he will be sending us a whole list of recommendations to do, such as fixing the siding on the gym roof, making sure that all the exits of the gym are shoveled out, cleaning out the basement of the gym, making sure that the fire extinguishers, which we've done really good with the ones that we knew about, but there was more fire extinguishers that we didn't know about that we found today that need to be checked once a month and then once yearly by somebody, the fire tech people.
Okay.
So once we get the completed list, we have 120 days to respond to the survey, some of which we will just have to say we have a plan for XYZ because it's quite obvious that we can't do the gym roof in 120 days. We can't do the siding on the gym in 120 days, and all of maybe the siding we could
Patch
probably.
side back
But
together.
but yeah, so that's just a lowdown of what he does, and they just make recommendations as to how to make things better and be a resource to us versus
Right.
the alternative.
Yeah.
Which I would much rather know ahead of time than
Exactly.
than be dinged for something. Our sand shed was too full. I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh.
Oh, probably where it's up over the concrete,
I
would
don't
be
know.
my guess.
That's the only thing I can think of.
I don't know. He
I
didn't.
didn't think it had as much in it as it usually did.
Well, tell them in 120 days and it won't be as much.
Right.
Easy fix.
Easy fix. Yeah.
Just wait a minute.
Well, yeah. So I was like, okay. He didn't really say much about that particular thing. He just took a lot of pictures and kept moving on. And he's like, oh, I'll send you a list. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, once I get that back, I'll share it with you guys so that you guys can see at least what we need to address. So there's that. The DOT Village Partnership. I met with Matt Drost on November 15th. And the draft plan from Groral Palmer should come in the next few weeks. Dawn reached out to me today and said that they were so close to getting a draft of the final report to us. When we get the draft, send comments back to Dawn, and then he will send a final report back around February. And then Matt said to put him on the agenda for when we plan to accept the plan, because then he'll come to our select board meeting and talk about what kind of comes next for us. And there will be like in the report, it's kind of, from what he explained, it's kind of like a menu of some, like it breaks down each cost thing.
Okay.
So like sidewalks and different things. And so then we can ask on what can be implemented in 2026, 2027 to kind of piggyback what the state is doing. And then, of course, there would be a 20% match for anything that we wanted to do.
So I was just reading an article in the paper today. So Dover is also doing a village partnership, and they were quoted in the paper as a 10% match.
Well, why do we have a 20%?
That's exactly. So
Okay.
that's a question, I guess, for him.
Yeah, that is a question. I did not see that.
Unless the paper is incorrect, but.
No, I mean,
Could
I
have.
mean, how long has Dover been working on theirs, did it say? Because if that percentage was based upon something to do with like interest rates and everything.
I don't-
then-
I don't think so, because I think that they joined
It's-
after us.
It's the village partnership,
Yeah.
which is, yeah.
and by accepting the plan, it just means like.
We'll let you show it.
Right, yeah, like we accept what they have, like they're presenting us basically.
Right, right. Do we have to have another public input
I don't think so.
between then? Okay.
I don't think so, no.
But
So-
we'd have the public see the final thing and we could listen to the comments, but obviously they're not gonna change anything.
Yeah, true.
Right, we could, you know, in the process of deciding what to do, kind of be like, this is what we would like to do, these are the costs, what are your ideas?
Right, right.
That kind of thing.
Sort of like a public hearing.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's a special meeting.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
we love special meetings. Okay, so the town flag. So we have received some town flags, and we are thinking of selling them. But I was thinking, we need to decide like where the funds are gonna go from the proceeds. So like whether it's gonna go to beautification or towards the gym roof or something along those lines. I feel like if we had it be a fundraising thing, people would be more apt to pay a little bit more for a flag if they knew that it was going towards something that's gonna benefit the town.
I think it should be more whether the beautification or something to do with the town office, which is
Right.
the heart of the town.
Yeah.
And the flag's gonna be flown outside, correct?
And at the beach, if I can manage that. But,
How much are they selling for?
well, I was thinking either $30 or $35.
Yeah. 35 is not unreasonable.
I didn't think so, and they're pretty nice flags.
Yeah. How many do you have?
How many did we order? 30 or 20?
Oh, right, I thought that we have,
We only have 6 right now, but we
Okay.
ordered either 20 or 30.
I think it was 30.
I think it was 30 too.
So,
What do they cost?
The last ones that we had made, because we had like a $50 coupon and then a discount, I think it was like $11 per flag, 11 and change.
And beautification would love to have the money. Seems to me the gym roof might be more.
Well, I mean, the gym's got its own little fundraiser going and, you know, some other stuff in the works, so.
Okay, beautification.
right, and when we get to that on our agenda, we can talk more.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good.
about
Stuff.
hopeful projects in the
Yes.
future. Okay,
Okay, so are we thinking $35?
I think that's reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That's what I was thinking. So once we get the next order in, I figured we'd make like a post on Facebook for it and have a picture of it and whatever, once we actually have a few to sell, because we've already had people coming into the town office, seeing them on top of the
Yeah,
cabinet and go, what is that? Can I buy that? I'm like, yeah, they'll sell. Okay.
nice, okay.
Yeah.
And actually, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe you put like something up for the general store or even at Robinson's, because that would probably be a big tourist thing.
Yeah.
Coming through,
That's
people
true.
coming through, and
That's true.
they can say, I've been to Monson, Maine.
Not just a t-shirt.
All right. So second to last thing I have is the factor and reval. So I heard back from Rob. He said Rob is the head guy at RJD Appraisals. He's supposed to be getting me a cost estimate for what the factor would be because it requires them more time here to do a factor. So I'm hoping that he is gonna get that to me very shortly. He had to wait for Ed to be here to send him one of the commitment books because he needs to know how many parcels we have, that kind of thing, to give us a cost estimate. So it took a lot of emails, and then finally I left a voicemail on the office voicemail that said, hey, I haven't received any correspondence back. So then the next day I heard something, so I was
Good.
like,
Good, well, thank you.
so I'm hopeful that he'll get back to me shortly with the cost estimate. And then for my final update, that's not on the agenda, is the FEMA grant. So I got another new project manager, my fourth one since March. And so the grants portal is a little bit confusing, and it doesn't say like this is how much is going to be awarded or anything like that. So like it just has like a cost breakdown, and so it looks like we will be receiving like $5,600 for the emergency protection part. So that
How much?
like $5,600.
56, okay.
And that would be to cover the fire department's hours, time and stuff on the equipment of the fire departments, the 2 sump pumps that we had to purchase. It covers all of those things. So essentially that would really go back into the fire department's stuff. And then it looks like we would be getting around $38,000 for Barrows Falls Road and Pleasant Street. So that would be adding gravel back to the places that it washed out over the top of the slate that's there. So there's measurements on there exactly how much and how thick and everything, but I couldn't quote that off the top of my head. But around $38,000 is what it looks like we might be getting.
So there's,
Go ahead.
so they're specifying that for those 2 roads?
Yeah.
This much on this road and this much on this road?
When will we know for sure?
I don't know the answer to that because I reached out to Lori, my previous project manager, and she was like, no, there's nothing on your end that you need to do. You're all set. It's just in the wait and see thing. And then today I had to go on and sign something. And when I signed it, that's when it had the cost analysis there. I've never seen that before. So it's at least moving forward. And I think that the emergency protection category is ready to be closed out so that we can receive that reward. I just don't know how to do it in Grants Manager, and I had a exclamation point pop up every time I tried to submit it, so I had to send the website a help request or whatever. They're supposed to reach out to me tomorrow to help me fix whatever's wrong with the website.
Goodness. Well, thanks for being persistent.
Well, trying. So that is it for town manager reports for what's on.
All right. And I looked over the budget report for the month. Anything unusual?
The only thing that I have to look into is the website for this year. It says 2251, and I don't know
What page is that on?
if the very first page under expense, special purpose.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I have to look into that, but that's the only thing that I saw.
Huh. What was that for? I mean,
I don't know. And
unless that was just, for the, I don't know what you call it technology-wise when.
right, just to
Fiber.
have the website
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like that was almost as much as it was to make the website.
Make it
so
right.
I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah.
So I just have to go look at the bill and,
Okay.
and analyze it and figure that out. But
Okay.
other than that, everything looks great.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. All right, select board reports. Jonathan?
Everything is on the agenda.
Okay, and Aaron, anything?
All good.
Okay, and, I just wanted to say thank you for everybody that worked on Elliotts Hill Road because it lasted last night. It held up during the storm and I could get uptown today. So I appreciate all the work that everybody did on that and the planning. And I know that the collaborative has discussed the artisan cottage and somebody is hoping to buy it, but the problem is transporting it. And so I just want to mention that in terms of
What do we do? Yeah.
lasting the winter is, yeah.
Well, I think she actually did buy it, right? Or she got the permit too.
Yes, but transporting it is the issue.
Yeah.
She reached out to me today. She had not heard from John Tapco, who I ran into last week. He doesn't feel he could move it with his equipment because he'll damage her septic system.
Mm.
But he had a line on a guy with a kind of flat trailer that tilts, roll on or something, I forget. Somebody in Dexter that he thought might be able to move it. So she was gonna get in touch with John to find out how to get a hold of that guy.
Okay.
Okay, so in progress.
But
So in
it's-
progress.
It's in process, but
Yeah,
moving the thing,
yeah.
Wait for the next snowstorm, just like we used to do fish houses.
well,
Just hook on, go right down the road.
Yeah.
we were gonna do.
Yeah.
Where are they moving it to?
Just on
Pleasant
Pleasant Street,
Across the street?
Pleasant Street.
Pleasant Street?
yeah, and it's gonna be a backyard
Oh,
shed.
out of Pleasant Street.
No,
No.
No, just the house, right?
Right after
This
Sherry
side of
Burke's
the-
old house.
this side will leave in Lena's.
Right after Sherry Burke's old house.
Okay.
So I'll figure-
Big enough to have two. What's it gonna be? Dwelling unit?
No, just a
Storage
just a shed. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's all. Okay, town committee reports. Sandra, you want to take beautification?
Sure, and we just talked about artisan cottage, so I'll
Great.
that up. The collaborative newsletter is gonna be mailed to everybody in town, probably Monday. Should I put something about the town flag?
That would
You guys wanna come up with a short list of things you'd like to see in the newsletter from the town, including that,
Sure.
and get it to me tomorrow? And should a plea about the gym roof be included?
That wouldn't hurt, just to say, hey, just a little
You want me to
friendly reminder.
just grab stuff from the mailing that's still sitting in my to-do pile? Or do you wanna write something up too?
I could probably write something up.
it's getting to be the end of the tax year. Maybe people want to do a donation.
And that was kind of what we figured, a lot of people would wait till close to the end of the year, because it is gonna be a tax deductible.
Right.
So I'll put a reminder in and just, do you care what I say? Give
I
my,
trust you.
okay, all right,
If
I'll
they want to make
add
a donation, who do they contact?
that. I have
It goes
that,
to the historical society.
yeah,
Okay,
it's
all right.
going through, because the 501c3
Right.
allows it to be deducted. All right,
I still have the form at home.
So town stuff. Jim Roof.
A lot of people.
Collaborative is also trying to figure out how to spend the rest of the money, but we don't really want to spend it on this room. This room's going away, so There may be some artwork, there may be some other stuff, but
Things that we can bring.
More
with us.
chairs,
more chairs. How many
I mean,
chairs
I
did we
did-
get?
I did give
20,
that
but
up.
we could probably justify 40.
Okay, well, there's a committee supposed to be looking at how to spend the money. I'm not on that committee, so.
Okay.
So
Neither am I, but I can help spend it on chairs.
I'm sure you can help spend it.
I did give that update, that was raised at the last collaborative meeting, that, I mean, if this room goes away, it will all be transferred to the new room.
Right,
Right.
So, I mean, it shouldn't be
right.
the hang up, but I don't know who that committee is.
Doesn't exist.
Spending the money,
Me either.
but that deadline's fast approaching.
Yeah, this.
The deadline may not be hard and fast.
Okay.
That was one of the things that was
Okay.
in question.
17?
Yeah.
Okay, on to beautification. I believe Steve and my husband are putting the lights up tomorrow. I suggested that I have told anybody who has ideas about how to better space them, that they're welcome to help. I may have mentioned a certain calculus formula that somebody found. I believe that was seen to be a joke.
I honestly, I have it on my phone.
I'm sure you do.
Just
I
plug
know
in
you
the
do.
numbers and the equation does the work.
Just telling you that it's unlikely they will be precise in the manner you would
That's
like to see
okay.
them. They will at
That's
least
all right.
be up.
Their efforts will be appreciated.
Yeah. The tree is lit, luckily, so that part's done. Community garden beautification has been wondering if there's interest in a community garden. Nobody has said anything. I'm gonna put that in the newsletter again and ask people to contact the town office. Also the flags, and finally, we may be spending some of the money that we have been raising over the last 4 years, selling bulbs and plants and catnip toys primarily. We have over $5,000. We may be putting that, we need to talk to the rest of the committee, but maybe putting that toward the sculpture project that we're trying to get brought to town. It's gonna cost about $11,000 or $12,000 to get these
I don't know
sculptures
if you,
here.
do you know, have you heard about this?
No.
It's the Skudik
Skudik sculpture
sculpture.
project.
Yeah, and they, if you've ever been to like Lemoyne State Park or I forget the other places down east, the artists have created these huge stone sculptures, and the proposal was for it to be a traveling exhibit. There hasn't been a lot of other towns interested, so we were saying there's a possibility that the sculptures, if they come to Monson, could be here on the long term. And I think there's 5 of them.
5 sculptures. They're not all stone. They're different materials. But there's
True.
some. It sounds at this point as if we can get the money together to get them here, they may be here for much longer than a year or 2.
And the other piece of this is that people, it's like a sculpture trail, so people travel around Maine to view these sculptures, so it could bring more folks into
We could
town for that
yeah.
purpose.
Do we know like the size of all of these?
They're
Just so
quite
we-
large. They're all going on Libra property. Where they're going has been established.
Okay, so you've got approval for that from Libra then?
Yeah,
Okay.
Libra and Elliotsville.
Foundation.
Yeah. So no town property will be damaged by very large stone sculptures.
I wouldn't worry about it being damaged, but just trying to find a spot where it wouldn't be in the way
Right.
of the
Yeah.
town stuff.
But it's thought that it'll be a nice draw for Monson, another thing to bring people to town, so. Beautification has been talking about getting public sculpture in place for a while. We weren't thinking on this scale, but why not? We can help, so.
And it sounds like, from what Chantal was saying, they're coming,
They're
so,
coming, yeah.
like,
And nobody else really has expressed the right kind of interest. Other towns were interested, but they've kind of dropped out, so. To our benefit.
I would guess probably a lot of it has to do with having the town space available. You know, most of your towns probably, you know, if there's a sculpture that's half the size of this room, where's the town gonna put it?
Exactly.
And the money raised to transport them, that was the big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, stay tuned. The only other thing I wanted to say, and I've heard nothing from people in this room that I emailed about the comp plan, which I think is done, that we need to take a little time for you guys to put eyes on. And,
I will respond to your email.
okay,
I know.
I really don't like being ignored. I get really mean. if you continue to
No,
ignore me.
I read it and then I was like, yes, that's on my list. And then I was like,
And Sue read it and didn't respond.
Ditto.
Somebody's
I did the same thing.
brother, I'm not gonna name any names, but somebody's brother also hasn't responded. It's a bad time of year, I know, but I think we
yeah,
filled in the gaps and
Yeah.
maybe they'll, okay.
It's high on my to-do
I didn't
list.
get
It
that
is.
email, right?
no.
You
It's
did,
just a
but
brother.
And no, it's
But
just
your
me,
brother
Sue, and
did.
Marty that's in the doghouse this time.
I mean, I'd be right there with you. I'll be honest.
Certain people in this room.
I wasn't gonna name names.
Thank you, Sandra.
Okay.
And anything we've heard from Recreation Committee?
No, but Steve Bro is starting up the open gym on Wednesday nights again. So he's gonna be in charge of closing out the gym and everything.
Oh, cool.
So
For basketball?
for basketball, yeah.
Wednesdays, I think.
Yep.
Right.
6 to 8, I think. it
Yep.
is, Yeah, I'm putting that in the newsletter.
Great.
So a little something,
All right.
a little something.
And the other committee is cemetery.
I haven't.
It's kind of a infrequent report, I guess.
Yeah.
All right,
It's winter.
it is.
Not a lot happens in the summer.
There is a tree down in the hillside cemetery that needs to be cut.
Oh,
Right across all kinds of stones, but
Oh dear.
yeah, I'm hoping that none got damaged, but
It didn't look good.
it didn't look like it, but it was
In the upper or the lower?
Lower.
lower.
well, it's good to have a committee now, at least overseeing that.
Will
Uh,
the cemetery rules be posted on the town website?
Yeah,
That's a good idea. So noted, thank you.
Yes.
website.
All right,
Got it.
CEO report? Any questions?
Comments, suggestions?
What were the permits for? Building, demo?
Demo, building, and that shed.
What kind of buildings? Was it residence or just a storage shed that they're building? or-
No, they tore off the deck and they're putting a new one on. The old one was pretty bad.
Is that Jonathan?
No.
No, Alan Curtis.
Well,
Not like I say, family member.
yeah.
I feel like the rest of the CEO part is on the agenda further
Right.
down, so we can.
Okay, let's move on. Old business, 19 Center Street, dangerous building. So we just concluded our public hearing, I'm sorry. So we're tasked with deciding if it meets the statute definition of a dangerous building. So we must find that the building is structurally unsafe, unstable, or unsanitary, constitutes a fire hazard, is unsuitable or improper for the use or occupancy to which it is put, constitutes a hazard to health or safety because of inadequate maintenance, dilapidation, obsolescence, or abandonment, or is otherwise dangerous to life or property. So, we have current photos. And if I understand right, this has not been occupied. No one has lived in it for over 20 years?
Right.
Okay.
And probably way longer than that.
Yeah, it's been longer than that, over 20 years. Yeah. The last one that lived there, her name was Elvira or something.
I guess I would just, my input would be structurally unsafe. We have not been able to get pictures of the inside. Kent,
I'm not going in there.
I know, it's,
I'll go in.
there are walls that seem to be very unstable.
Right, like my thing would be if you were to go inside, you touch any board and whatever's holding it up.
Fire hazard, unstable, unsanitary. We've had animals living in it. It's unsuitable or improper for the use or occupancy to which it is put.
And I think there's
There
photographs,
is an addition on the back
Mhm.
that has collapsed,
right,
and you have a collapsed
Right.
yeah,
building clause in your menu zone.
so I mean, I think there's photographic evidence here of multiple issues. The tree on the roof, which
You went offline for a second and get
Oh,
back
okay.
on.
you can see that there's something going on there in this picture where it's, I mean, it's clearly, it's not habitable, certainly.
Are there any power lines that are still,
No, those were disconnected.
okay,
But it wouldn't take much. It's certainly, it had inhabitants, but not of the human variety.
I think I'd also submit, it meets the definition of abandonment. It has not been kept up. It's unsafe. So I will make a motion that we consider this property at 19 Center Street to be a dangerous building that, how did we put it last time? That requires,
That meets the criteria of,
Um, to deem it a dangerous building, I guess that would be what you would be motioning.
I guess
to,
that, yeah,
Due to all of the evidence presented, yeah.
right, as specified in the statute.
Seconded.
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
I do have the findings right here, so if you'd all like to just sign that, then I can send it.
Okay.
Then you had to cut, obviously, these are part of the file, not
Mhm.
these pictures.
I added it to the other files.
Right.
Along with my information packet, because I feel like it adds to the,
And this gets sent certified mail to him?
Yep, and then it also gets
Yes.
recorded in the registry of deeds.
Okay, so the time clock, when does that start?
Let's see what's said here. The 10 days of the notice of this decision. So the notice of the decision was today.
Today, so as of today.
So it'll go out tomorrow.
But wouldn't that 10 days start once he receives it?
yeah, I was just gonna say, because
The notice of,
notice, because it has to be
Accepted by him?
accepted by him, yeah.
Do you wanna do that? I can just go change it real quick and say,
Well, that would still be right,
No, that
10
would still be
days.
right, 10 days of the notice. So the notice
notice
is
of
when
the
he's,
When he
decision.
receives
Okay, right,
it.
yep. Gotcha.
You know the way the mail is, it might take
yeah,
10, 15 days to get down there.
If you ever get it. Oh,
how long does it take for certified mail to get?
Depends.
depends on if you
Sometimes
mixed it up the
forever.
first time, the second time,
Never.
never, and then we have to pay to have it served to him again. So,
Okay.
The last time that we had one of these, he was here, so we actually served him ourselves.
Right. So if somebody doesn't acknowledge or take it or sign for it, what happens?
then we would have the county sheriff do
Serve
it
it
again.
like we did?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright.
Yeah.
But we have to go through 3 times of trying that?
We don't have to, we could go straight to having it served the way we did before. It's just, either way, it's kind of costly. It's a certified
It's
mail.
$40
It's
to have
$40
them
either
do
way, so.
To have
The
it served?
sheriff, yeah,
Yeah, and then it's $10 for certified mail,
Right.
$10-ish.
Yeah. I would say if we don't, I don't know what you think, I'm just thinking if after the first time certified, we don't have a response,
then,
Go right to
do
the
the
sheriff.
survey, yeah.
Yep, okay.
Yeah, we've 20 years been working on this.
yeah,
All right.
Does it have to be a sheriff that serves them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess they would go on a road trip, have a little vacation.
yeah, down in
Hand
Florida.
the papers.
Actually, we could technically do that, but I feel like the $40 that it costs us to just have the sheriff already there
No.
might be a little bit cheaper than a road trip.
But you're not getting the excitement of the road
Yeah,
trip.
that's true.
If I remember right, though, in the statute, it actually specifies if the person is out of state, it has to be somebody from that, who's authorized in that
Yes,
state
yep.
to
Mhm.
serve.
I read that too. I read that too.
Sorry.
No road trip today.
No road trip. All right, on to CEO permitting process.
Okay.
so I asked to have this one added.
Oh.
I think that we need to come up with a better process. There've been a couple of cases recently where because there's no written process to apply and the CEO can say, oh, you don't need a permit for that, it's gotten us into some sticky situations and over the last couple of months. I think that's fair. And I don't think that's what was intended, but that's the outcome.
Right.
And so I think that we need to develop a process where there's an initial application that's made for anybody that wants, that would approach the CEO to ask for a permit, or if they needed a permit, they fill out on paper an application that puts their project in writing, and then it can be marked no permit necessary and filed and move forward, so that it doesn't put us in this situation where maybe someone represented one thing, got a no permit needed, and then or got a permit, but then doesn't do,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We need a written record of what's being requested and what's being approved
Right.
by the CEO in order to protect the town's interests,
And
the
theirs.
landowners, everybody, so that it doesn't, we don't continue to have these. I developed kind of an outline of what I was thinking. I looked at some other towns' applications. Some allow online applications, and the more I thought about that, I think it's important that people put it in actual writing so they can do a sketch, they can do some of those things that are required. I know Brian has a lot of experience. Kent's obviously got skin in the game. I'd be willing to sit down and, rather than come up with a process and say, this is the way it is, sit down and see if we can come up with a process that makes sense. I was thinking Brian as a planning board representative, a select board representative, Kent as CEO, possibly you, just sit down and iron something out, because we can't continue to have these issues come up. I know there's one right now that's going to the appeals board, and I don't think that there's necessarily blame to be laid anywhere, but it puts everybody in a bad situation.
Right.
And we need to stop with that. And so my idea was to develop an actual process, look at the application and see if there's a way to have either an initial screening application, or they just fill out a building permit and there's a box on there they can check.
I was thinking something similar to that is having a box at the bottom that says, no permit necessary, and then, or fee paid, because if they have a fee paid, then we know that the application is real.
The other thing that I had toyed with was, is there an application fee that Kent could charge? Because this will take Kent more time and more paperwork. Is there a small application fee that would defray some of those costs that we can legally impose? I don't know, and that's something we need to look into. I was thinking along the lines of $10 or $20 that somebody pays to apply, and that would sort of recoup Kent for the extra time to review the paperwork. I mean, not at a very high rate.
I would feel guilty charging somebody to tell them, no, you don't need a
Like
permit.
I said, I think you might find that people be just like, I'm not even gonna bother.
Some
asking
towns
'cause
do.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Some towns do have an application fee, that because you're having a town official review a record. It was an idea, and that's fine.
But we do need to figure out something.
But we need something in writing.
Yeah.
We can't continue to have these he said
No.
situations.
I think having it the same application, just different,
Right.
and just adding to it to say no application needed, or that
No
way
permit,
we're not,
yeah.
no permit needed.
But they're providing all the same
Information, exactly, and so then and we're not creating more paperwork for him to review, or not as much paperwork for him to review, because it's the same thing, and then if it does need a permit, all that information's already there. So then he can just say how much the permit was,
Right.
and then kind of sign it. But
Yeah.
I definitely think that's a good idea, to have us come up with some sort of something that's gonna work for everybody.
I noticed on your application, somewhere along the line, it got left off, or maybe it never did get, but when you're working at shoreline zoning as a contractor, you have to be licensed by the state of Maine within 250 feet of the shoreline. And that contractor's number has got to be on that application.
I found that for a lot of towns.
Yeah.
There's another page to the application where, not just for shoreline, but every contractor that's gonna work on the property has to be listed with contact information, which I think is not a bad thing to have. But I think That's important.
Yeah, that's in the shoreline zoning, that's a state rule.
Right, yeah.
It's gotta be on there. And I work with several towns and all the applications have that, a space for that number. If they don't have that number, they can't do it. Now, the homeowner can do it himself without a number.
Okay. So maybe sitting down and coming up with a solution, all of us, well,
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be Brian. I just think Brian has a lot of experience
yeah.
as a CEO and would be a valuable resource if Brian, if you have time to help us just come up with just a hard and fast plan that's easy to follow. It doesn't add an undue amount of work, but protects everyone involved.
I think that's a good idea.
So it would be really dependent on everybody's calendar. I can be flexible, but
Okay.
I don't know if it's something to wait until after the
The
new year, or if you want to, if you have time and you want to.
I have-
do something before.
The 31st, the 27th, before the new year is pretty much what I have.
Yeah.
Or we could even do it like before the next select board meeting, like five before the select board meeting.
That's fine.
Does that work for you, Ken? Yeah, at 5 before the next select board meeting in January?
Ken, does it make sense? Like, does it?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want you to feel like I'm stepping on your toes. I just,
No, it makes sense.
okay, cool.
We're not arguing.
Perfect. Awesome.
All right, thank you for doing that, initiating that.
Yeah.
All right. All set, municipal building grant.
Okay. Where's my? So we put this on the agenda to try to come up with some sort of wish list, for the engineer, which I don't know where my agenda, whatever. So that's,
Easy my agenda.
I just had it, I was checking it off and everything.
More just told it.
Nope, no marks on mine.
I took my book out and now it's just missing. Anyways, so found it. So a wish list as to like what are some requirements or things that are non-negotiable for us, basically. Things that we should be telling him because we have a week now before we meet with him. So he's coming next Thursday and he'll be here all day, basically, meeting with everybody, different groups and.
Are we all meeting with him?
You can.
I mean, I don't.
And really where he's gonna be here all day, it doesn't even necessarily mean like you guys have to come at
The
the same
same time.
time. You guys can kind of break it
I mean,
up.
if we're here at the same time, it has to be a public.
Yeah.
No.
What day again is he here?
The 19th.
Okay.
Although he may not wanna talk to 20 different people, 20 different times
That's what
throughout the day.
that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to break it up.
Well,
into-
the groups, yes,
Yeah.
but not, say like, me come in at 1 o'clock, Sue come in at
Yeah.
1:30, Jonathan come in, you know.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
I
just
think
a
if
select
we're
board,
all
just-
all on the same page, then we can kind of relay what we want, and then we can just kind of get information from him.
Is that anything that we can kind of have a consensus now?
Yeah.
Like,
That's what
yeah,
I think
that's
should
what
be
I
why
was
it's
wondering,
on.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, rather than us coming in.
Yeah,
next
no.
week and,
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you guys want to come in next week and just listen to what he has to say, that's totally fine. But I still think we need to come up with some
Yeah.
what we are really like looking for.
It'd be nice to have a dedicated meeting room, of course.
Right, yeah,
Absolutely.
well, yeah,
With technology, accessibility, and, ADA accessibility as well.
and ideally, I would like it to have its own separate entrance like this room has.
It probably has.
Because then we can still, like, other people,
Can be
like
open
the
to the
planning
public
board
and-
and stuff like that, they can still use it.
I've been to the Greenville's new municipal building, and they have like a meeting room different community groups can access. Same thing, it's its own entrance.
And I mean, I assume that because it would be modern construct, like the security wise, some of those features like we don't have to mention.
Right.
But like a much more difficult
Yes.
to get from
Point
this
A to point
meeting
A.
part into
Right.
the more sensitive area.
I'm sure, well, I'm thinking maybe a restroom for the meeting
room,
area that's
absolutely.
also ADA compliant, of course, they'd have to,
Right?
yeah,
I mean, anything would have to.
right.
Just I think it comes. I mean, are we thinking offices as well? Like,
Yeah.
because you'd have the main area, right, where people come in, but then how many offices?
Like, we really need like at least 4
Well, I was thinking like
outside of the main
I would like
office.
there to be an extra one,
Right.
Where
That's
you
what I
could
was
have
thinking.
CEO, you could have people that
Right.
come that need to come in and access records, have a little more privacy.
Right.
Not to you don't want it to be private, I think, to the point where somebody could like
Right.
shove stuff in their pockets,
Right.
but,
Just
To review
Windows and
records.
door that
right,
or something.
or even windows and doors that open, but a dual purpose, so that the meeting room isn't taken up with all the
Right.
files and all the,
Storage.
storage, yeah. So in my brain, we would have the front office part that has its own storage room and its own safe, so that all of the storage stuff from the office isn't in the storage room in the meeting room,
Right.
where it can be accessed
Right.
by anybody and everybody. And so then we would have at least 4 offices, like down like a hallway or something.
Guess that's a spam call.
Oh,
Anyways, and so then it would be like the assessor could have his own space with the tax maps and property cards and stuff like that. So he could have an office and that would have that stuff in that filing cabinet. And then a storage area and then an extra, and then bathrooms, of course. But we really, so assessors.
You probably should have a small little kitchenette /
yeah.
Right.
dining room, so you don't have to eat your lunch with the town staring at you.
Why not?
We don't
I'm gonna
anyways.
We don't take lunch around here. Just
No, we don't.
I just thinking, because this room has been, the funds from the collaborative have been used to make this a co-working space. So I'm just kind of curious in terms of the requirements for that grant, if this new building comes to fruition and we don't have a collaborative space there, how,
You mean a co-working?
co-working space, I'm sorry. Just something maybe to pose to Chantel to be thinking about.
is there a reason why, if we have a dedicated meeting room that's accessible to public groups?
it would still like it could still be a co-working space, but we're still gonna run into some of the same problems that we're having now, like,
Right,
it's still part of the town office.
Right.
We still will be using it. We'll
Right.
still be
Yeah.
using it as a meeting room, or it will be a little bit more lenient because like I wouldn't have to use it as a secondary office when I'm meeting with somebody.
Or
Like,
if
it's
the
always-
assessor has an office.
The
you won't
assessor,
do
right, he won't be in there and that kind of stuff, so like it would be more open. So I think that we still could figure something out.
You
yeah,
could have a co-working corner.
yeah, it's just a
No, but-
conversation to have though, with
Yeah.
the
Absolutely,
collaborative, how they wanna envision that.
right. That's a good point.
The storage, the things that we have in storage that we're paying for up the road there,
Mhm.
I don't know how much there is that can be brought back
If we had
if we had storage.
If we had storage, like if we had a decent vault even, those things could come back here.
Okay.
And then we wouldn't be paying for storage.
Steve does use that space as well, so it's stuff from the office and like, but I mean, a bigger building would compensate for
Yeah,
that too.
cause Public Works should have at least three bays.
Right, and, a room kind of the size, at least the size of the boiler room to keep things like, the Summerfest signs and all of that kind of stuff, cause that's the kind of stuff that he keeps up there.
Right.
And I think maybe even some of the benches and stuff for,
Yeah.
from the summer, just because there's just nowhere else to really put it.
So Public Works, 3 bays, Public Works office and a storage room.
And door, bigger doors.
All doors,
So that-
big boy doors.
Yes. So that someday.
Okay. What about like things like heating and
Yeah,
what do we wanna heat with?
radiant on the concrete,
Right.
and then I'd say hot water boiler or panels. I'm personally not a fan on radiant on wood floors because that you're just losing your efficiency right there. Radiant's good when you heat up a mass that holds the heat and radiates it. That's what's called radiant heat.
It's funny how that works.
Okay, so radiant on concrete,
And I think
No.
that'd be better for the
is that what you said?
vehicles that
Yeah,
park.
and then hot
Yeah.
water.
Oh, yeah, I mean, 100% in a garage, whether it's trucks or something, they're covered in snow, it melts off 10 times faster, the floor dries right out.
Right.
You don't have the issue like you have over here where once you get a crack in the concrete, the salt and the chemicals drip off the truck and then they just sit in there and just eat away at it.
Right.
And drip down into the ball.
Yeah.
In the Public Works garage.
I would have parking, I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut you.
Don't go
You
ahead,
were right in the middle of a sentence.
don't go ahead, we'll
Sure.
go back.
Sorry. It comes and it
Get on-
goes
get
so
on while you
fast,
got
I
it.
have to mention it. Yeah, parking, just accessible parking.
So I did reach out to Sue about the different properties that Libra owns and that stuff. She hasn't gotten back to me, but if we were to do something here, Keith was also thinking about including the property like right across the street where like Earl Palmer was talking about putting parking and including that in the grant because parking is part of the grant as
Okay.
well.
Property across the street.
Well, like
Like on
just
the
where
other
we
side
park
of the-
on the lawn, like
On the other side of the street.
Oh,
yeah.
No,
Just on the other side of
way
the little
across
white
this,
bridge, yeah.
Across the river.
Just
the brook.
and so then that could add some additional parking. But like he said, to have a meeting room that fits 150 people, where are you gonna have 150 people park?
Right.
So that's an issue.
Gonna need more than 40 chairs.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking what we could get away with for co-working space, because the money has to be on the co-working space.
40 people.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have that for,
I think
the
if
nice thing about the gym, for
right.
those big meetings.
Right.
Um,
I think that if we had if we did end up with it down there, I think we could potentially have a decent sized parking, and then they would have to park along the road like they do along the road at the gym when that time comes, like if it's that
Even
big.
the annual town meeting isn't that much, it's just when there's,
Big.
you know,
Spike
stuff
up.
that comes up, that controversial stuff, and I mean, because the solar thing, I mean, in my time here, that was the biggest turnout. So that's not, you know, that's the exception, not the rule.
Here's a wild idea. Is it ever possible to look at a municipality? No, probably not with the fire department. I was gonna say up near the gym and then have this area be more like the basketball and
Right,
everything. But, I don't know,
I know,
just brainstorming.
I often wonder why the school wasn't turned into, but then at the same time, you wouldn't have the public works and the fire department.
Well, and just the cost to operate that building is,
Yeah, that was what I was, and it didn't need a lot of work,
It
like a
needed
new roof
something,
and a new
right.
heating
Yeah.
system and all of that, yeah.
That's what a lot of other towns did when they got their schools.
Right.
Right.
Like, they turned them into municipal buildings. But, okay, so parking. And I'm really hoping that I do hear back from Sue before Keith comes here, because I would like to know, like, what would be the better route to go.
Yeah.
Pester her again.
Yeah. I will do that.
Does she know when he's coming?
No, she doesn't. But, when I asked her, she's like, wow, I wish that I had known like a week sooner because they were here. And I was like, oh man.
Mhm.
Timing isn't perfect there, but, okay, any other thoughts?
well, kind of back to the heating and cooling of the building.
Okay,
More of a fan of a cast iron oil-fired boiler versus these new fancy propane ones, just because the propane one's gonna last you 10 years and that's it. The heat exchangers are burning out on them. And as far as going like super high tech, I would avoid that. If you look at all the Libra buildings and the equipment they put into those, there's constantly somebody up here working on them.
What do they have? What do they?
They've got all the outdoor heat pumps
The heat
and.
pumps. If, and I was just thinking too.
But not the mini splits, like the big heat pumps. You know,
Okay.
the mini splits would be an excellent idea for the building for air conditioning in the summertime.
Right,
That's a definite.
yeah. And I'm sure he'll talk about insulation of the building, because if it's
right.
well insulated, that'll help with energy
No
efficiency.
spray foam. Absolutely no spray foam.
Why? Why don't you like?
Spray foam is the worst thing ever invented. If you look at any building that's been spray foamed, it's got major problems.
Really?
What kind of problems?
Mold, rot,
Okay.
we
I never
battled
heard
that in all these Libra buildings,
Okay.
right from day one.
Mhm.
And all the houses that I've worked on, they spray foam them and they decide to remodel 5 years down the road, and you start ripping stuff apart, and it doesn't look good.
Is it because they're too
It's
tight?
too tight.
Ah,
Wood has got to breathe.
yeah. So they don't have air exchangers then, or?
Even an air exchange won't do anything
That's
because
much.
you're encapsulating,
Gotcha.
say if you spray foam your exterior wall, that air exchanger doesn't do anything.
Right.
That traps that moisture in between your siding and the spray foam.
We're kind of sorry we didn't do that, but I guess now we're not.
Well, we did, so that's why I'm asking. But John thought of all that. He knew that breathe, anyway.
Okay, so no spray foam insulation. And what did you say, cast iron what?
Oil-fired boiler.
Well, because all I wrote down was cast iron, and when I read that again, I'm gonna be like, what did he say?
Yeah.
Just because a cast iron boiler it's simple. It's not complex. It doesn't have all this computer and technology on it.
Love
It's
simple.
simple
We
is the
do.
way to go. And also for public works, Steve should have his own bathroom with a shower.
Mm.
Really?
Because after working on the loader that day for him, if I was him, I probably would have wanted a shower too. Then obviously the fire department's gonna have that
Yeah.
anyways.
Okay, here's something. A nice public sign that's changeable so that nobody has to hike up to the school through the snow to change it.
I got to pass that task along.
I think it should have brake flashes.
I knew you were gonna say that you're a troublemaker.
I believe that there's an ordinance prohibiting that, Jonathan.
I was just looking at Marty. I heard Marty doesn't like those brakes and that she
Oh,
likes signs.
yeah, I gave them the.
Oh, no, I don't. Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I did.
No. I'd rather walk through the snow, as a matter of fact. I hate doing that, and
I
your fingers
know
go
you do.
absolutely numb, but I'd
But
rather do that than.
It would be, and all, you know, the purpose of those electronic signs, I mean, you could tone down the color and the
Maybe
brightness
if we
and
could
everything.
make it tasteful.
Yeah, and that it's informative of, you know, for the
If it was,
public.
if it wasn't as jolly as some of the other signs, I think we could get behind it.
There's some kind of understated ones that I've seen that maybe would be so.
Because when you're driving by, if there's too much on there, you're not gonna,
Right.
you can't read it all.
And we have
You
no
don't find
traffic light, like the one in Dexter on their police station.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You're sitting there at a traffic light, so you have time to read it.
Right, right,
We don't have that here.
yeah.
But no, a sign would make sense, right?
Yeah.
And
If we
where
had a traffic light, it would slow traffic down. Just saying.
I don't think we get to choose what we.
Water Street, I can see it now.
Yeah. Okay, so,
Could even be on the side of the building.
And I'd probably say, not knowing how they're gonna design it, but probably no metal roof. Cause then you're contending with snow coming off the roof. It'd be one thing if the roof was pitched so that there was no entrances or
Mhm.
any place that people would be walking.
Right. I dream of having an elevator. Oh wait, it will have one.
unless we
Unless.
don't. Because if we do it over there, we wouldn't have to have it be
Right,
six
it would have to be
stories.
one.
So then we'd be saving 50,000 to spend 50,000.
I think you're gonna find that it's
Oh,
a
yeah,
lot more
yeah,
than 50,000 to buy that lot from Libra, but I hope we find out that they wanna work with us or
Yeah.
something, cause I think that, I think the energy is worth it. We may reach a point where we realize this isn't, we can't move forward because the cost is gonna get too high, and that's when we're gonna have to look at how we
Right.
pare it back.
Right.
You know?
Right, and that's why we look at what our wish list is right
Right.
now, so that we can
Right.
then dial it back, because if
Right.
we only do the bare minimum fresh out the gate, we're not gonna have anything to cut.
Right, and you're also, I don't know what demo costs would be, you're gonna have to demo anyway, but if it's here, you have to demo
Right
right now. So, there is costs involved.
And then where do we set up shop in the
For
meantime?
Year.
Right.
I don't think this building needs to be demoed.
Well, if
Just
you were
needs
gonna
to not
build a
be the
new,
town office.
no, if you were gonna build it here. it
Right,
does.
right, but if we weren't, maybe we could use it for something else, I don't know what.
But that would also save us some money too, to go towards purchasing land, is not having to demo this building. So, thoughts anyways, and the the Elliotsville plantation piece of property that's behind us. I haven't heard anything from them either, but it hasn't been as long for them as it has been for Sue. So I'll check in with both of them to see. But
I don't believe they've ever been willing to discuss with anyone
yeah,
the idea of selling. In fact, I think people have been met with an emphatic no. But maybe because it's
maybe
the
because
town
it's
and
the town and
maybe
like
their plans have changed again.
right. Maybe.
Hopefully, like, keep your fingers crossed. Although, again,
Okay. Any other thoughts?
I can't think of anything right now. We can always email you
Yeah.
if we come up with something
Yep.
else. Okay. Between now and then. Okay. Good for now?
Mm-hmm.
All right. What are we up to? D, Community Resilience Grant.
Oh, yes. So I was looking at what the deadline for this grant is, and it's December 17th.
Oh, jeez. We're always like,
That's in
right.
5 days. And I mean,
How much is this one?
75,000. But in the scheme of things, we're missing out on the 75,000, but we're trying to get something a little bit more like the municipal grant and then the little grants that will add up to something. But if we want to they put out a new like list of community actions that are different than before.
Really?
So if we wanted to look at those and so that we're prepared for the next round, that would be worthwhile.
And then they probably want community input again for the next one.
Yeah, most of that was to get into the
Okay.
partnership. So now that we're there, we just need to kind of align with what they have.
Yeah.
And I was like looking and trying to see if there's anything that we have on our radar that kind of matches it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really come up with anything, but maybe as a whole, like I can send you guys the community actions. And,
Okay, that'd be good.
we can go from there.
Yeah, and after this one, when's the next round?
I don't know when the
Okay.
next round will be.
All right.
But at least then, if they don't change them again.
I wish we had a better handle on if we apply a certain way, we'll be put into the 5% match versus the 25% match.
Oh, for
on
the municipal building?
grant.
Yeah.
Because if we're in the 25% match category, I believe personally that's a non-starter, and
Yeah.
the conversation for me anyway would end if we get into the where we come up with a 5% match, and that's not to say that I don't think it would necessarily be money well invested. I just don't think we have the money to invest at that point. If we're looking at 25% of $3 or $4 million at the end of the day, I just don't see it as reality. It's one of the concerns, and I know Aaron brought it up back when we first started talking about this, about should we be sort of developing two different things. It's my biggest concern for this. I understand we need to do something. And the engineer walked through the building and looked and said, oh, you're gonna have to do something with this, the steel reinforced concrete stuff downstairs. Like with the ceiling, you're gonna have to do something in the short term, like we do need to. But I just don't know that the reality of us having to come up with somewhere between, $750,000 to $1 million is.
When would we know, like, which route we're eligible for?
Sometimes, well, see, I don't really know that either. So when Edie comes, those are the kind of questions that I would ask her.
Yeah.
And it seems crazy to some extent. I mean, $1 million is probably out of the question, but like $600,000, like I said before, I mean, we spent $600,000 on roads that aren't even gonna last 10 years. And so like, And we do have some money in surplus, and we have some money to pay like initial things out of like municipal building things, and we kind of have a little bit of time to prepare. So like if we set some, even if it's like $50,000, to set that kind of money aside for this year, next year, whatever, that's, you know, that's our first payment on a loan or something like that. And where we do have some debt going to expire or be paid off
Yeah,
in
like
that time
soon,
frame.
right?
Yeah, in that time frame. I don't necessarily think that it would be a no. Well, from my side of things, it's just looking at different avenues and seeing if it would be realistic for us or not.
Right, and that's what I meant to say, like,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna like plug my ears and stop listening.
right.
No,
No, not talking to you.
But I certainly think that it's gonna be, it's hard for people to take the long view when you see a price tag.
Oh, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
so I think that at that point, we'll have to look at some of those other options.
Yeah,
I just wish that you could apply in a way that guaranteed you
right.
one or the other, but to my
Is it a total
understanding,
crapshoot?
they
It's like-
determine which pool you get put in.
Right.
Like, they look at your
It's like-
application and decide, oh, you're in the 5% pool, you're in the
Maybe this guy
25%.
could, like, he must know. He
Like-
sees
Well,
so
I'm
many of
hoping
these.
that Edie would know, and she could give me, because I mean, I had an hour conversation with Carol Woodcock like 3 months ago. So like
Right.
that hour, I was only able to get in so many questions and so many answers. So I'm really hoping to be able to dial in what really the process is like. And I'm hoping that she will be able to give me some insight onto that, because that, you're absolutely right. There's a huge difference between 25% and 5%, or even 10%.
Or even 10.
But if
So-
you borrow $1 million for a 30-year loan, your amortization at 6% interest is about, it's under 75,000 a year. And real estate gets financed for a long period of time.
Right.
So
Right.
75,000 would be a manageable chunk if it was 25%.
I mean,
Just
yeah, but
saying.
what are you gonna give up? Is
We
the
have
issue.
debt
So
expiring.
we'll have to,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we'll have to look at.
We'll have to look at, yeah, absolutely. And then we'll have to, with, you know, like, there's gonna be a lot of factors into this, like doing the
Right.
reval and
Right.
the factor and stuff like that. So there's pieces to the puzzle that we're figuring out. I don't necessarily think like they're not figured out completely, but there's ways, and we can explore different avenues and, but at some point, this isn't gonna be an option. And
Absolutely,
to
no, I,
replace a building for even 25% of its cost is very limited. And if we were to do just a fire department, then we're doing a fire department and then having to still figure out what we're gonna do with this
no,
building.
you'd have to invest some
Yeah.
money in doing some work to this building. I realize all of that.
Yeah,
And I think we've decided, I shouldn't have.
sorry, I did
No,
not
no.
mean to pick a fight with you.
No, I don't
I'm
feel like,
extra aggressive.
I don't feel like it's a fight. I think if, at the end of the day, if we have to go to the town of Monson and say, we've got a proposal for a $4 million building or a $3 million building, we have to pay 25%, or we have a proposal for an 800,000 or even $1 million fire station that we would then match it, which I forget which is which.
Right,
I understand where you're coming
Yeah.
from. I understand if we had a money tree out back and we could
Oh, yeah.
pay our share from that money tree, I would say definitely the whole thing. I just am concerned that if we put all of our eggs in that basket and
Yeah.
then it becomes a cost issue at the end of the day,
Yeah.
we're making a mistake, because that fire station is, like, that floor is already, like, they've already been told like, it needs to be shored up and years ago.
Yeah.
And so it's an ongoing thing, and the town deserves a new
town office. I'm not arguing any of that. I just think the reality is.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I
we're-
totally do too.
Right, so we'll get more information
Yeah.
Yeah.
and not worry about it right now
Yeah.
until we have that information.
This is like, how do we get out of this?
Good job, Switzerland, good job.
I'm sorry, is that though, I mean, I hear you,
Yes.
absolutely.
Like, I think we have all these projects. We have this Goral Palmer thing that's out there that we're still talking about.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
$20 million. It's not real.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have endless amounts of money to spend. People put us in this position to control spending, not just spend money without
Right.
thinking
Yeah,
about it.
absolutely.
And so
No.
I think by not having those honest conversations, do you think you're gonna get the town to vote to support
Yeah.
a 25% match on $4 million? I
Yeah.
think you're crazy.
Yeah, no.
And like, I'm sorry that maybe we don't wanna have those conversations
Oh,
or
no.
hear those things, but that's the reality
Yeah,
at the end of the day.
yeah.
So
for
I'll
sure.
let it go, but I think, like,
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I hear what you're saying, and it needs to be a hard look at things.
Yeah.
This isn't something to take on lightly.
Lately, right?
like, when
By
we just
any
keep
means.
spending money though, and we keep a loader, a fire truck,
Yeah.
budget season's coming up, we're just gonna add
Yeah.
to the road budget. Like, where does the money come from?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like,
It's a tough decision balancing the needs and the money and,
Yeah,
And I think like you're talking with so many people who are so involved with this kind of stuff.
Mhm.
You know, I feel like if you put something like what he just said out
Mm,
there on
yeah.
the table when you're talking with these people
Yeah.
who are here to help, I feel like they might have some things to contribute that would
right,
either point us in the right direction of the 5% or
right,
something
right,
else
and that's
that we
what I'm
don't even
hoping,
think about.
you know, and the people from the Economic Development Council and those kind of people, like they have a lot more understanding of this whole process and how to get the assistance that we need.
And it's what they do,
Yeah,
you know?
And we're not the only town that's in this position.
no,
Yeah,
we're not.
absolutely not.
No.
I mean, there's probably been very few towns, probably other than Greenville, that more or less just said, right.
No, I totally get it, and on many levels, I feel like we were all dealt a very difficult hand, and we're all sitting here with our hearts in our hands, trying to figure out what our next move is, because it's not a fair hand for sure. And there's a lot of planning that goes into what we're doing, and a lot of hard work and a lot of hard decisions have to be
right,
made.
all right,
absolutely.
all right, thank you.
Sure thing.
That was an important conversation. So back to the community resilience grant, I think it's unrealistic to try to get into this next 5 days
Yeah.
grant. And we need more time to look at what's available
Yeah.
and what we can do. So let's see what the next round might be and
Okay.
go from there. All right, new business, snowplow contract?
Snowplow contract. Okay. Oh my goodness. I thought I had a copy of the snowplow contract. Let me just grab the
Okay.
binder.
The guy that was on this thing, the public comment, did he say he was a lawyer or did he say that he was?
He's I'm not sure, is
Project
it
manager?
project manager for the UGE, which is the solar company that's doing that project.
He didn't want to involve the lawyers.
Huh?
He didn't want to involve the lawyers.
Oh. That must be why he tried to bribe you.
You heard that, Bill?
I wasn't gonna say anything.
I wrote it
That's
down.
where we can get our money.
Yeah, right?
Okay, Okay, where is,
Yeah, I know, that is exactly what came through my mind.
okay, so while I'm looking for the contract, basically the reason why I put the snowplow contract on the agenda, which Chad, if I had to guess, is sanding right now, so he can't be here. But I basically let him know that you guys were gonna be talking about it. And we have the option to extend the contract for a 5th year,
Right,
or 4th year, is it 4th?
4th year.
4th year. And I wanna say the total is 234,000
240,
or 240.
because it went up 20-something thousand each year.
Yeah. What's that?
What in the world? I just had Jade straighten this thing out so I wouldn't do this.
She straightened it out too good.
Yeah, I'd say.
$234 this year?
Was this year?
That's the budget. Yeah, snowplow 234.
Okay,
Yeah, so each year he went up like 20,000. I almost think when I looked at his data, I don't think it was 20,000, I think it went up 15,000
Yeah.
for the 4th year. Which is still quite a substantial jump per year.
What goes into the, I'm just curious, like, calculation of the jump? Like, is it like vehicle maintenance, price of?
Price of fuel.
how much he has to pay other people.
Right.
My goodness, why is it?
I think it was only 10,000 a year until we put it back out to bid.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen again.
Yeah.
If it goes out to bid, it goes out to bid once.
What in the world? Why can I not find this?
Let me see if I can find it on my computer.
Well, I can actually, because I'm seen it.
I think I have it. I have a copy of it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Yep. Let me get down to the end. Where was it? Oh, this is an old one. Well, wait a minute. Contract year. This was signed in 2019.
So that one must be.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is old.
But I know.
And that one went up.
Yeah, what was it in that?
7,000. So in 21-22 was 162,067. And then if extended, it would have gone up 6,000 to 168.
So now we're almost 100,000 over more.
don't have the current one.
I got it. So if extended, what in the world? So I have the signed contract, but no price.
You just showed to me the other day.
I know.
But it was on a piece of paper.
Yeah. Well, we have until March 1st to extend the contract.
Okay.
Um, it must have been part of the bid packet, which is why it's not on here.
Okay.
Okay. This says 260
For the extension.
for the extension, but it says 235 for this year. And then, but I feel like it wasn't 260 when I showed it to you the other day.
Yeah, no, it might have been.
Really?
Because I remember when I looked at the number, I said some words in my head. I might have said them out loud too, I don't know.
Let me just look on the counter real quick. To
Okay.
see if
But-
I-
Still, just the fact that it's been bumping up that much every year. And I personally, I would like to see us not have to put it out to bid. I mean, back when Joe Leary plowed, for a lot of years, it never went out to bid. He did it. He did an excellent job. There was never arguments over cost. It was a fair, honest price, and he did a good job. And I will say Chad, first couple of years, did an absolutely amazing job. Best that it's been since Joe. The following year was questionable. And I don't know, I haven't heard Chad's side of it, whether there was some disagreement with different people in town that, kind of
I don't know if it
changed
was-
his mindset.
Yeah, I don't know if it was equipment or help or what. I don't know. I think the last couple of years have been pretty good.
Last year there wasn't.
Was there last year?
Last year wasn't all that good. There was some feuding. And I think what happens, say if a selectman or somebody in the town gets to feuding with the guy plowing the roads may take that personally and say, well, guess what? I don't care. I'm not gonna worry about going out and sanding because it's a little slippery. Not to say that was what he was thinking. And I understand, I somewhat understand why he did what he did, as far as bumping the price up when the town put it back out to bid.
That happened the last time. we did that.
That's happened 3 times in the town's history. And I run into that, with my business, a homeowner will say, well, I want a bid from all your subcontractors and everything.
Mhm.
Well, everybody will give a bid, and then the homeowner will be like, well, that's too expensive. Everybody redo their bids.
Mm.
And there are some people that'll redo their bids, but as far as I'm concerned, this was my bid. This is what it is.
Yeah.
Cause you probably put a lot of thought into how you arrive at your number.
Yeah.
It's fair. Now, somebody made the argument, that, as far as putting something back out to bid, such as the plow contract, actually specifically going up because you're just kind of putting them even further behind the 8 ball as far as getting ready, getting
Right.
equipment geared up, so that it's just more scrambling that they have to do, especially if it's a last minute situation like it kind of always seems to be. So that I felt like was valid, but to go up that much every year now because of that,
No, because I mean, the cost of maintenance, the cost of fuel, the cost of paying, your
Is it-
laborers, your drivers has not gone up.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering, has it ever been asked, like, could we have like an explanation of what goes into that increase in cost? I don't know if that's a fair question.
And I think kind of like,
You asked
we
him.
discussed, or Elena talked about it, I don't know if it was just me or you guys. But it would be nice if we could have somebody that we could rely on for summer and winter maintenance. But that's gonna be somebody that is, we treat them fairly, they treat us fairly. It's a mutual agreement.
Elena, I know you're searching for that, and maybe Marty knows the answer to this question too. So, since the arrangement, like with Joe Leary years ago, we now have a different, if I understand it correctly, a select board policy that those kind of jobs have to go to bid.
They don't have to, do they? thought we didn't
I
have
think
to.
initially, they do if it's over a certain amount of money, which obviously the plow contract is going to be. As far as continuing it, I don't know. I don't know as that's like, for example, the mowing contract with David Gray. We don't bid that out all the time. I mean, it was bid out the first time, but I think that if you're happy with your contractor and it's a fair arrangement, I don't think you have to continue to put it out to bid.
Before Joe Leary, Farron Brothers did it. And
Right.
50 years, I think. It
Really?
never went out to bid.
Okay.
They just extended it.
Right. And that's
It's
what
nice to have that option if you're not happy with the contractor.
Yeah,
we had Herrick Brothers before Chad, didn't we?
Yeah,
was it Herrick and then Tim, or Tim then Herrick?
Tim and Harry.
Tim then Herrick.
Any luck?
No,
All right.
I'm not.
Do you want to table it till January?
Yeah. I mean, we can at least,
What are you looking for, just the number?
just a number, yeah.
What was this year's 234,
No, personally, it's in the-
235?
230, that's I
She
think
said
it's
235.
235, and
Yeah.
I'm almost positive it was like $15,000 went up. 10 or 15,000 at least.
See, yeah, it just sucks because I literally just had it, I just showed it to Aaron, like,
Tuesday.
yeah, that's what I don't understand, I thought I had it.
And I'm
Okay,
not
it's 240.
240.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it went up from 235 to 240.
Yep.
For the extension.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, 235, 950 this year to 240.
So what are you thinking? What are you proposing?
I don't know, because I haven't been super stoked so far this winter, but at the same time, like, there's not a lot of contractors out there.
I know.
I do think if we do end up putting it out to bid, I will probably call around to some contractors, because probably not all contractors are even gonna realize that it is out to bid.
Right. Which I did.
That's one problem when you advertise, is you throw it in the paper, and if you don't get the paper every day, I don't get the paper.
Yeah.
I don't get the paper,
We
and
put it on our Facebook page,
Well,
we
see,
put it on
It's
our website.
it's helpful to know other people too. Like I did try to call around the last time, but like I don't know very many contractors, and the ones that I do know are like, yeah, we're at max capacity.
Yeah.
We can't take any more on. But there's a different mindset, different headspace here. So
well, and kind of see, and also too, I can ask them, okay, how much is this town paying you per mile to plow their roads, or how much are you charging?
Mhm.
So, that would give us a little bit of backing. If it gets into the conversation where, well, why do you think that your plowing is worth $60,000 more a year than this person?
Is it kind of in the ballpark, because you've looked into
yeah, it is, and so we're relatively close to what other people are paying, and I know that in our road committee meeting, like Justin had kind of called around to other towns to see what their winter maintenance budgets look like and stuff like that. But we can definitely do some more of that and get.
But that wasn't based upon miles, that was just based upon
No,
day?
it was for miles.
Was it per miles?
Yeah. But I don't remember what his numbers were, so I can't quote him. But yeah, that's definitely good knowledge to have, though. But I do know that it is what this contract is for, is in the ballpark of what other people are paying. And more people are going to having to contract. I just had a town call on Tuesday because the town of Corinna had to go and plow Garland the Thanksgiving because they didn't have anybody to work in their public works department. So, and then Greenville just switched to contracting out their snow plowing
Oh, they did.
because they can't get anybody in their public works department either.
Wow.
So
Interesting.
it's
So lesson of that is don't put snow plowing on top of your public works.
so
Or they just weren't able to hire people for public
Right.
works. That's
and
what
keep them, yeah.
Right. Okay. So you want to gather some more
Yeah,
info
we
for us?
can do that, and we can kind of see like what other people are paying, and then I mean, I just would hate to put it out to bid and then not
Cost us more.
cost us more.
And not only that, but we just consistently get the same bidder, and that's the only bidder.
Exactly.
And so probably this time it may not be any different, and then,
That's what I'm wondering, just working with what we have.
Either
To
way,
see.
like
I think there's gonna be at least a conversation with them.
well, we can table it to the next meeting, come up with some more information and invite him to the next meeting again and say, we have some questions for you or something.
If he's amenable to that,
Yeah.
that would be nice.
We can do that.
Okay.
Because according to the contract, we have until March 1st to decide if we're gonna extend it or not.
Yeah.
and he can either accept or not,
Right.
so
Yeah.
I guess.
I think, it's it's a nice investment to be able to work with somebody.
And have them do, like,
Consistently,
Yeah.
it's always the same person, so you're not getting somebody new and then you trying to adjust to them trying to adjust to you.
And having that relationship and that, working together, even if there's, I'm sorry, stop. Even if there's things that we still need,
right.
are in need of, just working together to solve that.
And it would be nice to have the summer person be the winter person at the same time.
Right.
It's not always gonna be that way, but it would be nice to have that same relationship with whoever's doing summer maintenance.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Got more on your plate, your to-do list there.
That's okay.
All right. Liquor license, Lakeshore House.
I guess you guys just have to vote to approve it because everything's online now,
Right.
Did you
so.
get my email?
Yes, and that was for the New Year's Day.
Yep, this is just a new
celebration.
system that they have, so there's nothing to sign anymore. It
Okay.
just comes to my email and,
Sweet, well, I'll make a motion
Okay.
to approve the liquor license for the Lakeshore House for New Year's celebration.
and did I send you the one for the general store
Yeah.
also?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
We're
that
doing
one
both
too?
of those.
Yeah.
I also would make a motion for the general store to serve
Beer tasting.
It's a beer
beer
tasting.
tasting,
Yeah.
to serve beer.
And that's like on the 19th or something. I will second both of those. Any further discussion?
See you all at the general store.
All in favor? All right. Fire truck?
Yeah, just one.
Sorry, I know.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad that I added fire truck to the agenda because I forgot part of my fire truck update in my town manager report. But hang on just a second. I'm just writing my to-do so that.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So for the first part of the fire truck part, I guess, would be the new fire truck. So unfortunately, the new fire truck has had an issue and the pump isn't working and we are having a tank set out and all of that stuff. But in the scheme of things, we also need to figure out what to do with the old truck.
Mhm.
So Chuck thinks, well, we think, I guess, Chuck and I think that listing the fire truck with Jeremy would probably be the best way to go because there's nothing that says that we can't put it out to bid too. Just listing it with Jeremy, like he would get commission, obviously, but it would be reaching a greater people that are looking for fire trucks.
What kind of people would be buying this truck?
Right.
I'm gonna say it's not really fit for service.
No.
and
And so it would be like,
Collectors.
right, or,
Somebody with a
Even-
junkyard.
right,
Somebody that wants to bring it back to life. Maybe there's people out there that.
For
want to do
parade.
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
something. People with a lot more money than we have.
Is the, who listed with Jeremy is the only cost his commission?
I think so.
What's his commission?
I think he said like 10%
I
or
think it's
something.
what Chuck told me.
Do you have any idea how much it would be worth?
$4. No, not much, they talked to Brindley Mountain about buying the truck outright and they would give us scrap value.
Which was like $3,000.
Right, you might find somebody that needs parts.
Yeah.
10,000 maybe.
Maybe, like, I didn't think we'd get what we got for the, so I don't want to, say somebody couldn't be insane and overbid.
You never know,
but
right?
I don't think it's worth much.
What would be, I don't know, easiest and most efficient?
Yeah, I mean, aside from that, we would be putting it in the newspaper and putting it on MMA's website.
So it might cost us as much as
Right.
the commission.
Right.
Is it does it have to sit inside until it sells?
No, and so we were talking with John Warworth about putting it in that building, but for the time being, we still need it. Because the
Oh, yeah,
other one
it's
doesn't
functional
work.
working.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming those adapters that they had to get for the new truck came in and they were correct?
Yes. Yes. So, yeah. I think listing it with Jeremy wouldn't really, it's not gonna hurt anything.
Mhm.
And then if it doesn't sell, then we can just be like, okay, let's put it in the paper.
Yeah.
Or scrap it ourselves,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
think we should at least explore that. I mean, there's gotta be shipping costs and all of that, and that the buyer, I assume, pays those, but I don't know.
I don't know.
Like I
So
said,
that's-
that probably some more information would have to be
Yeah,
Right,
from Jeremy as far as how they set that up. Like you
Right.
said,
right.
if they do decide to buy it, are we liable for any extra costs or anything?
Right.
Is Brindley Mountain gonna handle it? Is the buyer gonna handle it?
Right.
exactly.
Or maybe since this new truck needed some service, we can make a deal with them.
Right, yeah, something. Okay, so I will, okay,
All right, to-do list.
to-do list. Jeremy. Shipping costs? Okay,
All right, onward. Schedule planning session with the planning board.
I added this one, it's been an ongoing conversation since I was started on the planning board. We discussed having a joint meeting, there wasn't much interest, it didn't feel at the time. I think it's incredibly important, especially as we were going through the process with the solar ordinance and we discovered some areas of, areas in the land use ordinance for the rural residential, at the very least, that there are already people doing some of the things that are prohibited. I think cleaning up some of that, but I think sitting down and having a conversation, and if there are ways for us to sort of align our efforts and support each other, that would make life a lot easier than.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
I agree. I don't know when, well, we wouldn't want to probably do it at the same time they have a regular meeting, so I don't know what dates are.
I don't think they have much on their plate right now.
I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah.
next meeting's February,
Yes,
it's in February, yeah.
It's in
on my
February.
calendar, hold on.
fine.
Brian's way ahead of me. 6th. Sixth.
We have a select board meeting that night too.
Perfect.
February 6th?
we have a personnel policy update meeting.
Oh, yes, that's right.
That's
This is
exciting.
first
It sure is, I read through that
Oh,
bad
boy.
boy today, looking for something, and I thought,
I don't know if there's a time in January and we should wait till
We're all
February.
doing a good job.
I
Thank
don't
you, Brian.
care when we meet, I just think it's important
okay,
that we
Yeah.
sit down and I know that we're separate bodies intentionally, but it would be much easier to
yeah, I agree.
do it in going into the new year, but that could be February, so.
Okay, so maybe we should have maybe your brother reach out to the planning board to see what days would pick up a couple of
I
days.
know
and
they
then-
had a conversation, I think, didn't you guys, at your last meeting or something?
A conversation about what?
Having a joint meeting.
Yes, we did.
No
But what time
dates were
was that?
talked, right? Okay.
Yeah, I'm open to January or February, whatever.
Because we have, and then we have a select board meeting on February 13th. So, okay, well, I can reach out to him and have him put out some dates that work for the planning
Yeah,
board.
That
I
sounds
mean,
Because there's more of them to work around than us
Is
four.
that meeting on the 6th that we have scheduled going to, like, the personnel policy, is that a lot of work?
Probably.
I assume it
Yeah.
probably would be.
Yeah, probably.
So we
I
have to
read through it
start
today.
that.
Yeah, probably not. Because I read through that today and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is why we need to do this.
Yeah.
I was trying to read about earned time off, and in one part of it, it says that it will be paid out. The other part says it will not be paid out.
Can we order pizza and go to Turning Page and
Might
have
as
a
well.
meeting?
Oh yeah, I'll bring my red pen.
Planning board, select board meeting at Turning,
In
work
Jim Wood-
session,
Work
and we can
session.
invite the public.
Yeah, it would be a powwow.
I think you'd have to, right? It has to be an open meeting.
Yeah.
I was just trying to think of ways that we can make it less onerous.
Painful.
And,
Food always helps.
right, and
So,
maybe it would, I'm thinking about the schedule. In February, we're gonna be meeting twice, and
Actually,
we're trying to write this grant for the municipal building. Let's
so
do
we'll
it in
probably have a
March,
special
correct?
one. Well, the application's open in March,
Oh, okay.
so it's not
Not
due in
due.
March. It
I thought it
opens
was
in March.
due. So I guess we're back to January or February talking about.
Okay.
that's good. All right. We need 2 more things left. Getting there. I
I
told
know,
Johnny
I'm
he
on
should
page
come
2
to
of
the
my
meeting
to-do
tonight
list.
because Marty said that we'll have a quicker meeting.
You guys are doing good though.
So a lot to get.
If
It
you don't,
is
there's
a
still-
lot.
Yeah.
There's a
Tons of
lot.
work. Moving on.
I realized my trying to make things easier was making things harder. Step away.
All right, ARPA funds.
Okay, so ARPA funds need to be allocated or obligated by December 31st
Saw that.
of this year. So I have an idea. I proposed it to Erin, but we don't have anything designated for this $11,000 that we have for ARPA funds, and I believe that we should pay for a generator for MUD. We can do it because it's infrastructure for wastewater and water infrastructure, whatever.
Mm.
And it could be a generator that at some point, if we needed it for something else, whatever. But
Right.
MUD desperately, and it is benefiting the town still
Where does it go?
at the pump house.
Okay.
So
that's what I assumed.
yeah. So right now, when we lose power, like when we lost power for that length of time, like Dan Daigle has to come and pump it, and it's expensive, and we don't have any backup.
Easy peasy, I make a motion.
So does that mean that folks who get town water can't, like, they don't have running water when they?
No, they still have running water when the power goes out, but it's just gravity feed.
I
Yeah,
see.
you lose a lot of
You lose a
pressure
lot
on
of
it.
pressure, you know, the water isn't really the big thing, it's the waste part of it, because if your waste pumps aren't pumping,
It's not going anywhere.
No, I
people are
can
just gonna
see where
keep
that is.
flushing, and
Especially because the water's still gravity fed on that end.
yes,
So it flows
Oh.
in easy.
but the
Just
generator,
Second, Sue.
Yeah, I get it, let's do it. Yeah.
I believe all of the pump houses have the generator hook up there. Why there was not a standby generator put in when those buildings were put up with the grants. But if you had to, you could take it down, get this one going for a little bit, get that one pumped down, take it
Oh
up
my
here,
gosh.
get this one
See,
pumped
you can
down.
pick it up with the loader.
Bring it around. Well, it's
Should be
just,
psyched.
and realistically, MUD needs more than just one generator.
Right.
Yeah.
But
But start
we,
what you can.
but start with what we have,
Let's do
and
that, yeah.
and I don't know why, why MUD wasn't eligible for its own
Yeah,
ARPA funds.
Yeah.
Would this be something that we could look at the next time we apply for the
Resiliency?
resiliency grant?
Well, and that's another thing I was thinking of is that
Like-
MUD needs some help, like
Yeah.
desperately
Yeah.
needs some help, and I just don't have the time for it these days. And but like this is something that it
I
doesn't.
like that idea.
I mean, it just came to me like
Yeah.
a flash of
Yeah.
light.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Hopefully it's on the resiliency's list
You
of
would think.
possible things,
I mean,
right?
it seems like it is, especially, I don't know if it has like a little solar panel.
Yeah.
They'd love
Well,
it.
and you think about it, because the more power outages we have
Oh,
because
absolutely,
of storms and stuff, it's related to resiliency.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
Anyway, I'm good with spending the ARPA funds for that.
Was that an official second?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally was.
Do you need a motion?
Yep.
Okay.
He
I
did.
made
I made a
He-
motion.
Oh, you made the motion.
It's already in the
A
minutes.
second. Wait, I didn't even hear that. Okay,
I did it before we even had any
We vote on that?
conversation.
we do. Any discussion? Any further
How can we
discussion?
vote on that if it involves mud?
Because
We can-
as a
It's our
town,
money.
because it's town money.
It's
ARPA
town
money.
money, we're
We're
allowed.
We're
allowed
allowing you
to
to spend money.
Yeah,
Good question. All right, all in favor? All right, shoreline zoning ordinance.
okay, I don't have anything for this one.
Just kidding.
Yeah, just kidding. I put it on the agenda because I was really hoping that I would have something.
Oh, really?
But-
Okay.
I don't, because the last time this was left off, I think I passed it on to your brother, and your brother may think that he passed it on to me. So we both thought we were doing something, but neither one of us are doing anything.
What needs to be done?
So it needs to be signed by the DEP commissioners, I guess. He was the one that found that out. So then when he came to me and brought it to me, I don't remember our full conversation, and I haven't had to have that conversation again with him yet. So I meant to have it today, but today went crazy like usual, so I didn't have
Yeah.
time. But it needs to be approved by the DEP commissioners.
There's no issue with the fact that it was done a couple years ago.
Right.
and We don't know that.
We don't know that.
Okay.
Right, right. I remember
So-
I put that on my list for you because,
So,
yeah.
yeah. To-do list, and I need to check with, because maybe Jamie already figured it out and didn't tell me.
Unlikely.
Unlikely.
No.
But I just need to, I need to talk to Jamie to remember the conversation we last had, because he was the one that figured all that stuff out, so I don't even know who to contact to be like, hey, what do we do about this? But if Jamie doesn't know, then I'll figure it out.
He did tell me something about that, but I don't know.
Okay. All right,
So,
on our radar, yeah.
on our radar, for sure.
All right. All right.
Oh, the only other thing before we go,
I was just gonna ask if there were anything else.
Stewart Road and North Guilford Road, that tree that came down. I asked before, you probably gave me a straight answer, and I don't, for the life of me, remember what it was. Who's responsible for cleaning up the debris that's left?
If it's in the roadway, it's us.
It's not technically in the
pretty
roadway,
close.
but it's right on the edge of the road.
Well, like I said, I think the power company's people did that, so they should be responsible. But if it's not, and in the springtime, if it's still there,
It's, those were just roving bands of power crews,
yeah.
right, during
Yeah.
that storm. Like it was,
Well,
there were trucks from all over.
right, and like,
This is all over the place right now.
Maybe they're gonna get it.
well, that's what I was
No,
wondering.
No,
If
they
somebody was
involved.
No,
cutting it up and then somebody else comes to
they've
pick
been
it up.
working down that section. That's
Who called wondering
That's
about
why.
it?
Sean Nelson, I bet you anything.
Maybe.
I
Whoever-
guarantee you it
Does he
was.
have a mill?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well,
Like-
what if we were like, you can have it? Maybe he.
I don't think he wants it.
Oh.
He wants it gone.
Yeah, that's nothing you'd wanna try and throw on a mill.
No.
Oh, okay.
Just a big old
He has
gnarly.
it was a sawmill and a camp right there. Like it's just up the
Yeah.
road there on the left as you go up the hill, and they are living there part-time, and they live
Him, yeah, I think Hamden.
Hamden, down that way, part of it. But he saw me at Chris Kringle, and I thought he was my basketball coach when I was in junior high, and I thought he was gonna make me run laps. And I said I would check, and he said, you don't check, you tell him to do it. So I'm telling, no, I just wanna know what,
The Because I do know that Steve and Jimmy cleaned up a lot of the brush from that.
Yeah.
I didn't notice last night when I came home.
Maybe Ed wants it for some bowls.
I was gonna say, maybe Ed does, yeah. Ed's got COVID right
Well,
now.
put the word out that we can put it on Facebook, hey, free wood on the side of the road.
There's a lot of
Help
free
yourself.
wood on the sides of the road.
And
Wayne
wood,
may go get it.
people would
See,
do it. Kind of wood is
I don't have that
tree
problem
that
on my road
They had
because
cut
I
up
have
the
so many.
cemetery,
motion to
that mostly
adjourn.
gets cropped up.
True.
Is it decent firewood
Did
tree?
you adjourn?
What
Did you
kind of tree?
motion?
I
There's
motioned.
a maple tree up there.
Oh, the one we were just talking about, is that?
Oh, no, it's
No,
just
it's
pine tree.
pine.
Oh,
Oh, it's great big.
it's campfire wood.
gnarly-
Did you get that motion?